That's right. Back in 1996, Eric Roberts was the master. And now in 2021, Eric Roberts is the master again in a new Big Finish audio. But I brought my friends in to discuss a little bit about the Eric Roberts 1996, our take back then, and what we feel about it now. And we're going to talk about Eric Roberts' master when we return. Stand by, WHOvians. My name's Christian Basil, and this is The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a TARDIS. Took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hanging With web show, this is the legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend. Woo-hoo-hoo. And welcome again, everybody, for the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. For those of you just joining us on the Wizard World channel, on the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS Facebook channel, on our YouTube channel, or on our Twitch, we're going to ask you right now to help us out. We've made one goal, and we're very proud of it. We've made the goal of 1,000 Facebook subscribers, but we need your help to get more people out there. So go out right now when you get a chance. Go to the YouTube channel. Look for The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, or you can go to youtube.com/The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Subscribe and hit that notification bell and help all the independent people out there. They would greatly appreciate that. This is a big help. We're trying to get our name out there in the YouTube world, and we want to thank all of you who have supported us, who have subscribed, and the people who are just subscribing right now. Thank you. My name is Christian Basil. Today, we're going to be talking about, well, I'll show you. Back in 1996, in 1996, for those of you who are been around that long, a lot of us WHOvians that you see right here, we were so excited to see that there was going to be a return of Doctor Who. And this was an incredible thing. In fact, I tell the story over at conventions and such, that I remember when I was a younger kid, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, on this one, or if you have a different memory, I was actually up watching Fox at 3 a.m. in the morning. Don't ask. And all of a sudden, I saw a commercial just come on. It literally just blipped across the screen, and it took like 5 seconds, and I was blitzed out of my mind. In fact, you know what? Let me not just tell you. Let me actually show you. Hang on one second. Let's bring it on in here. Let's go to full screen. Technology.
Oh, man.
This is
Look at that high def.
I know. Totally. You can see the pixels.
You can see the pixelation already.
Exactly. This is what we saw, or at least this was one of the trailers that we saw for the, what was it? The Fox Tuesday night movie trailer.
I'll reenact. I'm reading my Target book at the time, and it just happens to be on
New Year's Eve, 1999. Earth runs out of time. Doctor Who is coming Tuesday on Fox.
Now, what drove me nuts is if you look really close, and this is definitely because of us WHOvians, that's from the Trial of a Time Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And they borrowed that from the Trial of the Time Lord. I couldn't figure out for the life of me. It's just, where did I see that little bit before? And that's from that was part of the trailer that we saw from what would potentially be the Doctor Who movie, which would eventually be called The Enemy Within. Fox Tuesday night movie. And for those of you just joining us, don't forget you can do the chat. You can just type in anywhere in the YouTube channel, on the Facebook page. For those of you just joining us at Wizard World, welcome. Thank you for joining us out there. You can also chat with us at facebook.com, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We want to say hi to some folks. The Josh McManus. Hi, thanks for joining us there. Linda Fee Madrigal, if I've butcher your name, I do apologize right there. Paul Rob, exterminate them. Okay, that's fine by me. Walter Hendrick, hi there. I am Walter, and I've been a Doctor Who fan since 1996. So you know what we mean, Walter. You know what we mean there. Of course, the lovely Graham Krause, who's always a big fan of ours. Everyone, evening, everyone. So nice to see your faces. And we want to also welcome Harmony Alonso. Never mind. I don't want to do that to you. So today we are going to be rating and review. And just keep in mind, we are just going to be talking about the Eric Roberts Master from the 1996 TV movie, which was affectionately called The Enemy Within eventually, also starring a new doctor named Paul McGann. And that's who we're going to be talking about right now, that gentleman on the left with the sunglasses. And he actually got to hold the traveling TARDIS, which was nice. So there you go, Mr. Eric Roberts. Without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce our team there. I'm going to start from the bottom because she's got her microphone off, so I'm going to make her turn it on. Nisha Molson.
Hey,
I'm going to make you work for this, lady. Nisha, how you doing? Oh, God. Sorry.
Whoa, you did that to me this time. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Nisha, how you doing? Say hi to everybody out there in the Wizard World
Hello.
channel.
Hello,
How
WHOvians
are
family.
you doing?
So glad to be with you guys again today and to discuss this movie. I'm doing great. Everything's been pretty crazy the last month. Got a lot of stuff going on with Diversely Geek, but we can talk about that in the after party for sure.
You got it there. All right. Well, welcome there, Nisha. Thanks for coming back over here. And of always, Mark Muncy with Erie, Florida. How you doing there, Mark? Welcome back here.
Great, gang. Much happy to be back. It's been a little bit. Had some health issues, but now we're back in the saddle and hoping to talk a lot of Doctor Who. So
you look a little cheery. I like it.
Yeah, it's nice to be upright and mobile again. And and like I said, but this hits close to home because again, I was there during the dark days, and
I know
about that a little bit. And all we had was the Target books, the few VHSs that'd been released. And they were still prohibitively expensive, and you always had to rent them from Blockbuster. But it was starting to trend. They were starting to actually start releasing better VHSs and cheaper. But this was oh my gosh, this is a big moment, big time.
I know, just one episode in 1 year in the middle of nowhere because we hadn't had Doctor Who. For those of you who are complaining that Doctor Who's off the air for a year or two, how about 7? In some cases, 15 years. I mean, what was it, 1989 to 2005? If you don't count the TV movie, if you don't count the 96 movie, that just no Doctor Who. There was Big Finish. There was Targetization Virgin books. The Targetization, yeah, there you go. And
Target books, the Virgin books,
and in some cases comic books. I think there were a few comic books there. And a few role-playing games. Speaking of role-playing games, that's when we bring in Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, I'm doing great. This
is the topic today. Eric Roberts. And it's still got a big... Yeah, exactly. I don't know why, but it's always been like a big question mark to me. It's just like when I first heard the statement that Eric Roberts was going to be the master, it's like Paul McGann and Eric Roberts. Oh, jeez.
Also, again, at the time, we didn't know who Paul McGann was either.
Exactly, but at least we know he was British.
Yeah.
They kept in consistency of that. So as we start, folks, for those of you just joining us, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I see a lot of people are joining into the text, so please keep on chatting. I want to say hello to Stephen Stewart, who is on our Facebook page. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And hit that notification bell. Edward Hodgman says, interrogate. Paul Robb says, I wish they would let Paul McGann do more episodes. Yeah. Oh, we've had episodes about that little topic out there. I also want to say hello to Jeffrey Blessler. Again, if I butcher your names, my apologies there. And one more we're going to add for a moment. Ed Marie Martinez. I'm going to butcher that last name, so that's as far as I'm going to go. Love Doctor Who since 20.
Start using first letters.
There you go. Okay, that will work. That will work there. So without further ado, ladies, first we're going to start with Nisha. For those of you who've never seen our rating system, it's a simple rating system. 1 is horrible, 10 is great. We rate it on a traveling TARDIS scale. So Nisha, between 1 and 10, how would you rate Eric Roberts as the master?
I'm going to be such a harsh reader today. I am so sorry. So, and no negativity to Eric Roberts itself, because
No. We were just
it
talking
has
about his
nothing
character.
to do with him. It has to do with all the other things that created this character. I'm actually going to go with a 5.
You're going to go with a 5. Gotcha, Nisha. We got a niche, and then when we start talking about Eric and his master, we're going to go with the lowest score first. So Nisha so far is in it. But Dave, between 1 and 10, how would you rate Mr. Eric Roberts as his interpretation of the master? Okay, well, Dave is going for
I think he's going lower.
He's going lower. We're going to go for limbo. We're going for a lower score right there. Mark, are you going to go lower than 4?
I think I'm going to upset the apple cart here.
Okay.
I'm going to give him a solid 7.
You're going to give him a solid 7. Hey,
almost an 8.
Almost an 8. Okay, this is what we love. We have a lovely diversity of thought. We want and all opinions matter out here. Let's go back into the chats just a little bit. Let's see what's going on out here. Walter Hendricks says, I feel like his master was a little bit flamboyant. Yeah, we'll get into that later. Carl Witzman, it says it was a sad time. We don't talk about the Who-less times. Yeah. That's all we do on the show sometimes is talk about the Who-less times. So, good grief there. Aaron Edward says, I Call Me Again as a Doctor. I did not care for the Eric Roberts master. You know what? Since we're kind of talking into it, and we'll get to the chats in just a little bit out there, let's start with you, Nish. No, let's start with you, Dave. You gave Mr. Eric Roberts a 4. So we're going to bring you up to the hot plate since you were the lowest score. That doesn't necessarily mean my score is not lower.
That's true.
Because
we never know what Christian is until the Christian show.
Dave, let's go ahead.
Guessing.
Let's go ahead before we go to commercial break. Let's go ahead and discuss why you rated Eric a 4.
Now, Eric, I mean, is great. The new stuff is new. Big Finish stuff is changing that, and I don't think the 4 is not necessarily just him, so much as what they did with him. I think he did the best he could with what he was given, and he was written as a crap character.
Okay,
he had no depth. He had very little anything. He was
so are you putting this more on? Are you putting this more on the writing as opposed
100%.
to Eric? 100%.
100%.
So you're saying that Eric had a little bit more of a hill to climb because of the writing itself?
Most definitely.
Gotcha.
Except what he had to work with, I think he did just fine with.
Okay.
But he didn't have a lot to work with there.
Gotcha. Okay. So it was actually, I don't want to say it in this regards, he was built up to fail.
Pretty much.
In your eyes.
Yep.
Okay.
Completely, yeah.
Okay.
I think that summarizes the whole movie.
Also true. Also true.
Oh my God! It just seems. And when I was thinking about this, there seems to be no way. If you can look into the chats, there seems to be no way to not conflate like Paul McGann's Doctor and the movie itself by itself. How does that get rated? And they kind of conflate into each other because there's no way to get around it. And, I do have a question about the writing itself, too. And if the writing's not up to speed or up to snuff or, it's not going to work out. It's not going to gel. I want to say hello to Dan Hollifield. How you doing there? Good evening there. And our friends over at It's All Geek to Me for the Facebook. I'm sorry, his Facebook page and his YouTube channel. Check out Geek to Me. We got James going, Paul McGann remains youthful in appearance. Hopefully they utilize him in the 60th anniversary. I think he lives off the blood of virgins and politicians. That's my take on it. Your man will never age.
Living. That's all it is, man.
What's that?
That man is a national treasure to all the world.
He learned from the master.
No. I would go one step further. He actually wasn't he in that vampire movie? It was supposed to be the sequel to Interview with the Vampire. And Lestat? Lestat.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't Lestat, but he was in that movie.
He was in it. Yeah,
he was in it. He didn't become a vampire, but they hinted to him that he became a vampire at the end. So I'm thinking that he just got that from there. I'm not exactly sure where this came from. It says you do a lot better with the telemarketers. I have no idea. Graham Krause says, during the dark times, I only knew of fan-made audios I could listen to on websites that long gone. Some of them are still there, I think. Which ones are missing, though?
There are some that are lost. I remember some of those real audio days, because I used to listen to a couple of those, and I haven't been able to find them either. I know what he's talking about. Yeah,
you actually have to dig, because I think if the audio I'm thinking about, like the Ronnie Reaps the Whirlwind, things of those nature, you really have to dig in YouTube. You have to go into the dark web of YouTube to go find those things out there.
The internet Wayback Machine doesn't go way back enough for some of the ones I was looking for too.
Exactly there. Nisha, you're next, but we're going to hold you over until the commercial break. When we return, we're going to be talking more about the Eric Roberts master from the TV movie The Enemy Within and the 1996 movie. When we continue to, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and become part of the legend.
Bateman.
What's the Bateman?
A novel set in Florida, written by Florida author D.L. Havlin. Suspense, mystery, and murder.
Evidence is in the bait.
The Bateman is available at local bookstores and online.
Experience Samara's adventure as she imagines the people around her change into friendly cartoon animals right before her eyes. Journey with her in this poetic tale, My Cartoon Imagination at School.
Oh, brilliant! It's hard to believe that in the 56-year history of the greatest sci-fi television show in the English language, there has never been a fan guide to Doctor Who. The official books might give you what they think you need to know, but only a guide written by a true fan will give you what you really want to know. Join WHOvian, the brilliant Mackenzie Floor, as she takes you on an intensive journey inside the world of the first female Doctor. In the Binge Watcher's Guide to Doctor Who, Season 11. Right, let's get a shift on.
Meet the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
But not the one you were expecting.
All right, sexy. It's time to go home.
Doctor Who Velocity. Streaming now.
The massive audio Doctor Who Bad Wolf Bluetooth TARDIS speaker. That's all I gotta say, one word. Wow. It looks like it just jumped right off the screen. Here it is in all its Bad Wolf glory. Right here is the on-off switch and the up and down volume. Right here's the speaker. The TARDIS stands about 6 inches from the bottom of the TARDIS all the way up to the top where the light is. Look at the detail. Wow.
I know, wow, indeed. There, we want to welcome to the family of sponsors, Amazon.com, our friends over at Doctor Who Speakers, the speaker that you just showed. We want to welcome them to our family of sponsors. As you've seen here, a lot of our friends support us, and we support them. Check them out at Amazon.com, FameTech. Again, that's Amazon.com /FAMETEK. Check out the speakers, especially if you're like us. If you're listening to Big Finish, you're going to be listening onto that Doctor Who speaker, that TARDIS. Oh, it's going to be my traveling TARDIS very shortly there. And if you're listening to us, if you're watching us on the YouTube channel or on our Facebook page or on our Twitch, don't thank us. Thank our friends at GeekInsider.com. Don't forget to subscribe at GeekInsider.com.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.
And thanks for joining us here at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil. For those of you just joining us, we are talking about the Eric Roberts interpretation of the Master during the 1996 TV movie. Now, just for those who may be new to Doctor Who or not familiar with what we've been calling the Wilderness Era, after Doctor Who ran from November 23rd, 1963, all the way up until 1980. No, I don't remember that date. But anyway, it ran a good. Yeah, it was a good
89.
89. I don't remember the date. I just remember the year. So sometime in 1989, it ran a great 26 years, and it ended with the 7th Doctor, Sylvester McCoy. Flash forward to 1996, and Fox, of all people, pick up the TV movie and make an episode called The Enemy Within, starting with a new Doctor Who named Paul McGann, who would later become the 8th Doctor, and a gentleman by the name of, well, Eric Roberts would become the Master. And which is kind of weird, because if you look at the promotional video that they had out there, it looks like he's Doctor Who.
He also looks like a Terminator.
Yeah, if you don't know anything about Doctor Who, it looks like they're focusing more on Eric than they are on Paul in the promotional stuff.
In the American promotional stuff, yes.
Yeah, in the American, because everybody in America knew who Eric Roberts was. And he's part of now a big lineup of people, and something just to scare Yi-Ji Cho with right there. I love that. I should have had that picture ready to go. And how the Master becomes the Master, well, Eric Roberts actually plays an ambulance, I guess an ambulance rider, a first responder named Bruce.
Yeah, he's an EMT. Mm-hmm.
He is an EMT, and at the time, the Master is executed by the Daleks on Skaro, depending upon how many times that planet's been blown up or how many you want to believe. And suddenly, all of a sudden, the Master is taken by the Doctor to return him to Gallifrey to basically take him back to the Time Lords. But the Master, somehow or another, in snake form,
psychic snake form.
Psychic snake form becomes this goo and jumps into Bruce's mouth, and then we get
left over from his survival days where he was dying and he was half animalistic in that.
Yeah, well, put your cannon in there.
That's my head cannon.
That's your head cannon.
Sticking to it.
What's that, Dave? Oh, we got Dave. We don't have audio for you, brother.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
There's
basically two kind of canon reasons where that came from, though, right?
Okay.
There was it's the morphant or the deathworm morphant.
Right.
There's in the movie, Paul McGann mentions, "Oh, I can totally change species when I die."
Yeah.
So that's part of that, how that came about. But the other one, there's a whole, I think a whole novel on it somewhere in the sequence of how he gets, this creature, and it basically he gets a bunch of them from a planet, tinkers with them so that they can actually handle his mind, swallows one, and it becomes almost Trill-like, where it gets all of his memories and all of his master memories. His body gets killed off, that thing survives, and he is inside of it. And then that kills off Bruce and takes over his body.
So what you're saying is Doctor Who invented trills before Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Pretty much.
Speaking of which, if you want,
so not from the timing, but okay. I don't think so.
That's true. Where would it go? Okay, well.
Yeah, you're off by quite a few years on that one.
Gotcha.
It's true.
Yeah, my headcanon went, I didn't know about that, but that made sense to me. It was about the animalistic nature. That's actually where I went with it. I was like, oh, they're just imbibing when he completely dematerializes and now is in the pure animalistic form. And
right.
This is the character that they're going to create him as a snake. Okay, I see. So that's kind of where.
But the thing is, the goose snake has it looks like a crown.
Wow.
And some really sharp teeth there. I'm just like, I'm trying to
alien. Come on, it's like half the creature from
Alien.
Yeah, a little bit of that, a little bit of Godzilla, and quite a bit of the Clash of the Titans monster.
There you go.
Okay.
Probably the miniature they use.
We're gonna get to Nisha's vote in a little bit, but I'm kind of shocked because we've got some people in here who actually also did rate it. We got Carl Witzman says, I blame the writing and the direction. I rate the performance as a 4. Edward comes back and he says it's a 3. And Carl says, right, Graham, until Big Finish started, it was sad. I agree with Dave. Either the writers had not seen Doctor Who before or they dumbed it down for the which I kind of think that may have been the equation, because once they acquired it over, which is kind of weird because technically it's a Canadian show at that moment.
Yeah,
it was filmed in Vancouver.
CBBC. Yeah, before CBBC.
BBC, but Fox. But the whole goal of this was to make this a U.S. This was supposed to be a pilot for a U.S. led series, and it was supposed to be U.S. palatable. And so Matthew Jacob, who'd already been writing for Doctor Who, I'm trying to understand where the writing went.
There's a book all about this making of this movie. And I remember devouring it in early 2000s, and I can't remember the title of it, so I'm gonna have to look it up. But it's called The Making of Doctor Who Movie, and it tells this crazy story. Like the first 4 scripts had Tom Baker starring. They had brought him back, and it was The Key to Time, and he was being tried on Gallifrey, and it was all this other crazy stuff, and because they had seen him doing some of the commentaries on the introductions to like Shada and some other of the Lost episodes, and they're like, oh, he's still available, so let's use him. Right. And then it was when Fox came in and said, no, we've got to, do this, we got to do that. And that's, again, it was BBC and Fox, and both of them, neither of them wanted to spend any money on it. Neither of them wanted it. Originally, it was going to be Spielberg, and it was going to be this huge big budget movie and all this craziness. And of course, like I said, it's a lot of drama, and that's something we can get into on another episode. So, because we need to talk Master.
Well, when we get a chance, we're going to actually be talking, because we're going to be joining up with Wizard World to do a special for the 25th anniversary of the Fox TV movie. So we're going to be focusing a lot during this time through about the TV. Book then. Exactly. Speaking of which, more chats. Paul Robb, I got him to sign one of my Dalek hemispheres.
Excellent.
There's no way I'm not going to get around that innuendo. Anyway, Dan, it suffered from the producers believing that most of the U.S. audience wouldn't be all that familiar with 100%. The show, which is, and you know what, as a trivia, and I think we've mentioned this before in the previous shows. I know we're getting off a little bit topic for Eric Roberts' Master. There were actually 2 doctors, people who actually became the Doctor, who auditioned for this, one of which would be Christopher Eccleston, and the other person being Peter Capaldi, who actually turned down the role because he didn't think he was well known enough, if I'm not mistaken, for that. So I was just like, okay. So without further ado, and please continue on chatting. We got a lot of chats to go through, but it's Nisha's turn. Nisha, you rated it a 5. You rated Eric a 5, his Master. Give us a reason why.
I can't really just dissociate him or disconnect him from the mapping of this entire production. It's very difficult to do that, simply because with the wealth of knowledge of the writing that was coming to the table, there is no reason whatsoever for this Master not to have been much more much more I want to say dark, because it was dark as it was, but I felt a lot that he was directed to be very comic dark. So
I would go as far as I would go as far as campy.
So I'm going to go with that, and I do agree with that, but it just, there's a comedic darkness to it, and I connect to the Master forever. I always have, and I always will, because it's a character I highly enjoy and I love, and I really delve into that character. So I wanted to, and I saw poor Eric trying to be this character so hard, but it felt like he was so completely disconnected from understanding what beyond the written arc, if that makes sense. So I'm not grading this guy as an actor. He's a very good actor. There's many things he's been in that he's absolutely wonderful in. You have to have not just a good writing, but you have to have a director who understood what they're directing them to do. And in this poor episode, this poor guy, this movie, he's like, here, he's staccato. It's staccato from beginning to end. So there's never any connective flow or movement in the actual cinematography or in the dialogues. So that's unfortunately why I have to rate this particular, rendition of the Master so low.
Gotcha there. Now, do you think, and I think maybe Mark, because you said you did a little research on this, do you think Eric even knew what the role was when he first got into it? Do you think he even knew what the Master was? I'm putting this question to everybody, including it in the chats. Do you think Eric knew what the Master was about, or do you think he just took on the role without looking back and just saying, listen, this is what we're going to be doing here.
I think he had limited prep time because they all did.
Right.
Because this was, it had taken years to get it off the ground, and then suddenly it's rush because we have a premiere date on Fox, and BBC wanted to run it a couple days earlier. So that really affected it. And I think telling a little more will get into my number here.
Am I knocking the number now?
No. I'm explaining my number.
Right.
But I agree. I think, he certainly did not have the time to research as much as he did. He did research, though, from what he's been told, from some of his interviews and stuff like that. But he only had limited access. Like I said, at that time, PBS wasn't running Doctor Who anymore. It wasn't making him any money on the pledge drives. So it had been gone from television basically for years. The VHSs were just starting to gain popularity. And I think it was the Tom Baker Shada that suddenly went from, I think it was the first one that wasn't sold to rent, for like $80. And it was the first ones down to like 20, because I think it was the first one I bought. I think that and Silver Nemesis, where it was weird. And those came out, and then suddenly it was like Doctor Who was back, and it was popular again. And there was, and that's when they were like, oh, maybe we should make this movie that Spielberg sat on. And then suddenly they're like, okay, let's get this done. And then Eric Roberts, here's your script. Here, Paul McGann, here's your script. Director is like, go. And and they had to rush casting, they had to rush everything. We talked to Yi, and it was you heard the production was kind of crazy. So I still impressed that the sets looked as good as they did in the TARDIS and stuff like that. So you could tell it was the soundstage in Vancouver, but it was a soundstage in Vancouver with a TARDIS in it.
Right. and I just want to let everybody know it's Geek to Me Radio. James is correcting me. Well, not correcting me, but letting me know December 6th, 1989 was the last date of the classic series. So thanks, James, for bringing that up there.
Just to clarify something.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's not Eric Roberts as the Dot Master now or ever, because he's fully capable. And as time went on and we heard him in the audiobooks, you knew Eric Roberts completely imbibed this master. He's brilliant as it. It's him rushed into a role where he couldn't even, I think, he did everything he could to connect to a role, but how can you if you don't have the time to do it? And then look at the legacy that he had to deal with. Think about that. That's no little thing. I'm sure he knew coming in, oh, holy, moly, look at who came before me, and I have to be that character. It just, I don't want anyone to think we're dissing him. So,
like I said, I think I guess unless you say otherwise, Mark, because we haven't done your rating, I don't think we're putting this on Eric. It literally is asking somebody to jump into a pool of water, and we don't have time to fill the pool up. So just dive in and hope for the best and do what you can. So we got the Eric Roberts master, which is kind of, I wouldn't say disconnected, but I think, he brought in his own interpretation, possibly not bringing in other interpretations. We got another dimension of master from Eric Roberts, which I'm actually, I'm going to say I'm actually happy about out there. Speaking of which, let's just run through the chats. Carl Woodsman says, Dan, Hollywood can mess up a good British program. That's very true, Dan. As an actor, I'd say that Eric is a good master as John Sims, but both are overshadowed by Delgado and Ainley, and of course Missy down there. We'll welcome Anthony Sakovic. Yo, Mark, keep up the great work. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Shout out to our Mark Muncy for Erie, Florida. And here's the lady of the year. She's probably dissing me online like Christian. The train wreck. Melanie, he looks like a random 90s American bad guy. Yeah, we 100%. Mentioned Terminator out there. Edward says Roger Delgado, the best master.
Close.
He's up there. Now that there's Big Finish Master and Missy Master, I'm kind of got my. And in fact, at one point, Anthony Ainley took the lead, and then it kind of just fluttered out there. Exactly. There, we want to say hi to Kristen Mander. Hey, from New Zealand. Hey there. Aren't you guys asleep? Okay, but thank you for joining us, Chris.
It's 14-hour difference.
Yeah, I just don't know where the 14-hour ends.
ahead. So
ahead? Okay.
it's like 6 in the morning or something.
He is on Big
6 or
Finish.
8 in the morning.
Melanie, I completely agree with you, Carl. And Carl says, as Dan was pointing out, the actors who had some subtlety were better. Those who played it too hard just did not jibe with me. I mean, there were some times where I think Anthony Ainley kind of pushed that camp to a new level, which you could easily argue. What's that? I'm sorry.
He wasn't my favorite, just to let you know.
And then that's when John Sim goes even further with it.
Yeah,
later. So.
It depends on where you want to push the buttons out there. Yeah. Geek to Me Radio says those have been awesome to hear. And Melanie jumps back in. It looks like a predator snake. Yeah, it does look like a predator snake. Want to welcome Cindy Kep. One of our sponsors, Cindy Kep, author Cindy Kep. She's waving to us. She's lurking out there. Thank you, Cindy, for joining us. And we'll be running a commercial very shortly out there. Carl Witzman, it would have been better with a mist effect than the snake. That was just a weird and unneeded. Yeah, I do.
It was 1996. It needed a creepy CGI monster. That was the new thing.
I mean, for American film, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what I expected. So, yeah.
Okay. And Melanie actually puts in, I'm at a 3.5 only because some actors tried their best to make the writing work. Okay. So, not the lowest score belongs to Melanie. And I hope she's doing
try.
Okay. What's that?
I don't think he didn't try.
It's not. I don't think we can put this all on Eric. No. And I think Eric was handed something from fresh, from the core, and he just built it back up. Whereas everybody was building off from Roger Delgado and then building off of Anthony Ainley, and there goes Nisha.
He just regenerated.
Stop.
He just regenerated. Yep. No, that wasn't me at all. That was not me at all there. Welcome, Peter Thomas. You should judge Eric Roberts on his further ventures. Yeah, we are going to be doing that later on. We're just focusing right now on the 1996 movie. Yeah, for those of you listening to the audio, Nisha just likes to come in and out of this show. This is beautiful. Big Finish realized his talents. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given him more adventures. Of course, I was at Florida SuperCon when both Paul McGann and Eric Roberts were there. Yeah. And I remember my friend Patty Hawkins, who does GalaxyCon now. I just remember he was hosting the thing, and Patty kind of nudged it over to him and goes, "Why don't you two do Big Finish audio?" Because Eric was, the Eighth Doctor, what Paul was doing already, he was egging, and Eric does his own, I don't know, so that kind of thing out there. So.
I think at that time, Big Finish still hadn't hit big over here in the States. There was still only the one importer and he guarded that license like a hawk for forever. Now it's only in the digital era when internet finally became a thing and you could order direct from Big Finish all over. It was like, oh, now I don't have to pay $60 for this box set. Excellent.
Okay. Speaking of which, Dave, we're going to go ahead and bring you on in here, give you your rating, which was Mark. Mark, you rated it the highest. A 7. Yeah. Why did you rate it a 7?
Okay, so the tirade begins here. So picture yourself. All right, so I have to say there were 2 ratings. 19-year-old me watching this, probably, that dates me there. So there you go. I'm sorry, it's 25 then. 25. Sorry, thinking 19-year-old me was when Doctor Who ended. Yes. So it had been a few years and then suddenly this commercial comes on and I watched it and I was right with all of you. I'm like, wow, this sucks. I've waited years for this. No one's ever going to watch Doctor Who again. What have we done? We've killed it. It's the end. I'm just going to go listen to my audios and read my books and pretend this didn't happen. And I was like, man, what was up with that master? And I just remember having weird feelings about it. I didn't watch the tape again for a couple years. I had recorded it, but I just forgot about it because I was like, oh, man, that was vague memory. And they killed off Sylvester McCoy in 5 seconds, one of my favorite doctors. Come on. What is up with that?
And that was, I'm sorry, I got to implement that. That was a cringe death.
Oh, yeah.
And then dies.
Sorry, go ahead. He gets shot, then he's in the hospital, and then the whole hospital scene introduced a new companion.
Like, what the heck is this? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. and she's in a ball gown and all this just to be kind of crazy and all this. And it's very 90s TV. And if you look at it through that filter, it is very 90s TV, low budget 90s TV. You look at Forever Night, you look at all those shows that were filmed in Vancouver around that time. It was all just like that. And these kind of jumbled messes that they tried to make look pretty, to make them look a little more big screen, because they knew this was going to premiere on a few screens. There was still talk about maybe releasing it in theaters at the time, and it did. I think limited release. So my initial reaction would have been Master. Oh God, he was terrible. He's no Anthony Ainsley. He's no Roger Delgado. 2, 1. This was horrible. Bah.
All right.
And then I go back and I watched it again, and it's still terrible. It's hard to watch. It has aged a little better in some places and not in others. I think Eric Roberts' Master, though, is the part that I like the most out of it. Paul McGann he does the whole regenerating, and he doesn't know who he is, and he's that typical something went wrong with regeneration. Who am I? I mean, look at David Tennant's first episode as the Doctor. He's in bed 90% of the episode, and then he gets up and gives a speech, and everybody loves him. It's the greatest Doctor ever. We look back on that now. If you watch it, go back and watch that one again. It's like, what the hell was this? If that was your first Doctor Who in 10 years, we had Eccleston lead up to that, so we were kind of expecting. And so you watch this, McGann's doing that. So is Eric Roberts. He's suddenly, the Master has died. He's run out of lives. This isn't a regeneration. This is something completely different. This is a taking over of a human body. So there's the conflict of the human brain mixing with the Master. He didn't kill him. He's taking over him. So
Mark, let me put you on hold, because we were really up on a hard break, and Melanie would have killed me at this point. When we return, continue to stay logged on to and become part of the legend.
Cosplay Michael with the Hanging Out Club Show. I want to tell you about my friends at Embellis Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Embellis Effects is helpful and friendly. Embellis Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to embelliseffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
Author Cindy Kep is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Kep at CKOEPP.com today.
Doctor Who Worlds Apart. Don't forget to visit them. Tell them the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS sent you. Doctor Who-worldsapart.com. Stay for the after party, because one of us is going to be unpacking today. We're going to be unpacking our packs. We've got some new packs coming up, and we're going to be playing this game soon. As soon as they are ready, we're going to be doing this live and showing you how to play the game. And there might be a chance you guys could even play with us. And we're going to be good and smart about it. So Doctor Who-worldsapart.com. Become a sponsor here at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. All you have to do to join our family of sponsors, advertise with us, email sage@hangingwithshow.com or myself at hangingwithshow, spelled HANGIN with show.com. We're back. And Mark, I do apologize for cutting you off there, but we got to get those people who pay us to go ahead and
pay those bills
there. Yeah, exactly.
No, I was actually going to suggest we run the course before my rant, because I've still got a ways to go.
Oh, okay, go for it.
It's been a while since I've been on the show.
Where's the popcorn?
Where's the
this is the Andy Rooney rant from 60 Minutes. Okay.
Okay.
So all right. So then, like I said, back then, oh my gosh, and now it's grown on me because, like I said, you see him going through the same phases because that's what he was told. You're going through these same phases, and you watch him play that. And like I said, he is a great actor, and he was given crap to work with. It's a crap script, but he's pulling that part off. Then, so that's why he's kind of Terminator-ish right off the bat, right?
Right.
And a bit more just cold. But then you see the Anthony Ainsley and Roger Delgado start coming in, where he starts plotting, and he starts getting Yi as his companion, and he starts talking more schemes and plots, and the other guy's the bad guy, not me, and all that. And it builds to, and that's very much more modern Master, even. I think that's a lot of stuff you'd see John Sim play, and some of the other stuff. And then the problem is, the only thing that keeps this from when he suddenly goes off and becomes over the top camp. Remember 1989. What was the biggest thing in the world at this point? Batman.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And Jack Nicholson's Joker was everywhere. And it was so over the top and so camp and so insane. That's what all bad guys had to be in 1996. You had to do that to be crazy. And he was crazy from his incarnation. And so there's that mixed with the Menace and the Delgado and the Ainsley. And I think that's the problem with it. And I think that's where it falters at the end.
Let me add this, and this is from Anthony Sekovich. Thanks for joining us there, sir. Gotta love the steampunk TARDIS, though, that near the whole show. Because
Anthony is the king of steampunk.
Yeah.
So,
and the reason why I'm bringing up his comment is because a couple of things on there. When you saw the Batman movie with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, it was like an upgrade. I mean, far superior than and I'm not downing the Adam West series, but I meant, wow, what an upgrade. 1996, when we were going back to 1989, I mean, they were still on this, shoestring budget. Now look at it. It's a steampunk TARDIS. Look how beautiful it is. I mean, exactly.
So that's just it. It's just a few years later, everybody's still talking about this iconic, the crazy performance is Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Right.
I mean, it's 7 years have passed, but that's still what they think. And so everybody, when they're making a big over-the-top villain, they're like, be as over the top as you can, because he's looking at this. This is my one and done. This might be a series. It's probably not. I'm going to eat up every page of scenery I got, and that's what you do. As an actor, when he came out in the robe and all that. Now I look at the time, I was like, oh, this is garbage. But now I look at it now and I'm like, wow, you dress for success. Yes.
I always dress for the occasion.
Yes, it was so good. And it's like, now I watch that up and I eat the camp up with a spoon. I'm like, give me that. It's incredible because yes, it's a joy now when I watch it. It is goofy. There are bits that I hate, and he played it creepy. He played it cringy. And that's exactly what I want from my Master is brilliance, creepy, cringy. That's why I'm loving the War Master series. I think Derek Jacobi has the perfect Master right now going. But now this Eric Roberts big finish, we'll talk about that another day. You see what he can do with it too. And he's got a whole different tone with it. And I freaking love it. So yes, that's why he's a solid 7, maybe even 8 for me. Yes, I agree with all the criticisms. I agree with all that. Yes, the movie is a 3 at best. And, I think there you go. So,
well, let me go ahead and
over.
No problem. Let me run through the chats there. We got a lot of people coming from different places. Peter Thomas says greetings from North London, but I think we overran it because he said good night, everybody. He came in and came out there, and we want to also say hello to Philip Nichols from Australia.
Good morning, top of the day.
Or night. Tomorrow.
Yeah,
they're in the future. They're time traveling against us. So they're the other land down under as far as from Australia, as just now said. Okay, well, there. I'm going to bring this in. Philip continues. My friend Tim Cutter does one of the best of the Masters. the Supernova in Melbourne here. Yeah, I've actually seen Tim. We're Facebook friends out there. If you ever see his stuff, yeah, it's uncanny. He is gorgeous as the master out there. And Dan continues, that would be my choice of TARDIS. Actually, second would be the wood panel one from the Tom Baker era. Yeah, it looked like it was just in mothballed, and then he just cleaned off the dust and everything. What happened to that TARDIS? I want that TARDIS back. That looked cool. But yeah, to see the new steampunk version, that was awesome. And I think that kind of carried into the Ninth Doctor's TARDIS, where he just he's beating it with a mallet and stuff like that. So that is cool.
And the retro tech look, which was always good. And up to then all we'd seen was the clean consoles, except for the wood panel from Tom Baker.
I love that continuity. I totally a good shout out on that one. They really did put effort into making sure that the Ninth Doctor's TARDIS imbibed the Eighth Doctor's one. I love the steampunk look. It was so different. It's so red. It's so, you know what I'm saying though? It's like we were so used to the clean, bright white lights and the blue, and then it's got all of a sudden it's this deep, rich, velvety.
Gotcha.
The things the movie did well, it did brilliantly. The TARDIS, and they learned from it. Come 2005, they took all of the good stuff from that movie and the good stuff from specifically Ace and pulled that forward, and then learned from all of the we should not have, why did they do that? The other
thing they learned was don't bring in the old guy and then kill him 15 minutes later, so everybody has to learn to love a whole new character halfway into your show.
Right.
Just start with it already started. Start with it done. And that was brilliant. And that's why, that's great. And then we'll go back and we'll do the regeneration sometime later.
Right. Well, does anybody want to know my rating?
Yes.
Okay. When we return from this commercial break,
change.
I will answer the question after the last commercial break, but when we give some birthday shout outs today, if you're watching this on April the 27th as it premieres, Jenna Coleman, happy birthday.
Yay.
Russell T. Davies, happy birthday. And the man who looks pretty in pink, Danny Pink himself, Samuel Anderson, is celebrating a birthday today. When we return, I'm going to give my rating and we're going to wrap it up. We're also going to show you the big finish trailer for Master starring Eric Roberts and Chase Masterson from Deep Space Nine. When we return, please continue to stay logged on to it and become part of the net.
You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating for you. The Hangin' With Web Show, hosted by award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomacher, is the internet's fastest-growing web talk show series. The Hangin' With Web Show features professional, yet casual, in-depth interviews with creative arts and entertainment pros. Meet the people behind a digital revolution in creating more quality content than ever before in the history of media. Find the Hangin' With Web Show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or simply go to www.hanginwithshow.com. That's www.hanginwithshow.com.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
This is the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Also catch us on the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel. Subscribe today and become part of the legend. And don't forget to subscribe to us on our new YouTube channel, youtube.com, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Thank you for getting us over 1,000 Facebook subscribers. Let's get to
YouTube subscribers.
YouTube subscribe. I can't speak. Thank you for joining us out there. And to give my final rating, let me go ahead and throw in a few more comments out there. Oops, sorry. Philip Nichols says, Zoom away. Nice to be here. Came in a half hour in. Been a while. Cool about Doctor Who, the movie. Our next meeting at the Doctor Who Club of Victoria is just about that. From the president of the Doctor Who Club of Victoria. They're actually, so go for it. Join them. Yep, agreed on being the 60th. Deborah ML, I love the round things.
Yes.
Let's see here. Carl Witzman, I love the round things too. I think they brought them back in some of the design of Quality Stardust, and they did there. And Philip Nichols, yep. And final end of Doctor Who with my Sylvester McCoy Doctor Number 7. It aired Survival on the following year in 1990 on ABC TV Australia, ABC TV. In with season 26 series in UK or called by American terms. Yeah, that is the case there. Yippers. So we got 5 minutes.
Yeah, it took a while to air because we had to wait for PBS, so we didn't get it till 91 or 92.
91 or 90 something too.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and run this, and then I'll give you my little take on in the last couple minutes here about my master. This is
fantastic.
Looming through the flames with his serpent's eyes and cruel smile, the haunter of my dreams approaches, as I knew he always would.
My poor dear child, you really should never have meddled with things you don't understand.
From Big Finish Productions, Master.
It seems we experienced some kind of temporal distortion on our test run.
You mean you affected time?
I want to show you something.
What?
Everything.
Now, something's coming through!
I'm here. Well, this place hasn't seen visitors in a while.
If I were her, I'd be ready to kill.
I wish you to receive us as friends. I can only imagine how you treat your enemies.
I have no enemies, Chancellor. No one would be stupid enough to make an enemy of me.
A compact flyer is taking off with 2 people aboard.
Okay, different tactic. Targeting engine unit.
Target prosecuted. No fatality. Flyer descending at a 22-degree angle, 46 meters per second. Chance of survival, 82%.
Don't blind me with science, Artie.
Power output at 4%. Autopilot. Okay, transferring to manual controls.
Pull up a bank. We can't crash there.
Big Finish. We love stories.
Attention Earth authorities! We have returned! Do not resist! All resistance will be exterminated!
I'll have to give them the bad news. Deposition is taken.
Daleks! The Daleks are back!
Don't worry, Lila. I've met Daleks before, and I can't wait to catch up.
Eric Roberts and Chase Masterson in Master at Big Finish. Definitely want to check them out there. Oh, yeah. Well, I got a few minutes.
There you go.
Bottom line is, I agree with pretty much everything you say. When I first saw it, I thought it was really campy. I really thought it was really, but now that I look back, and I've always watched the TV movie occasionally. You see it online. I still have the VCR tape, the VHS tape, which is barely surviving nowadays. But I think, I don't know if Eric looked back at previous Masters, but I kind of do pick up where he picked up a lot from Anthony Ainley. Whereas Roger Delgado had a little bit of campiness, Anthony Ainley took it to a whole new level. Even with was a Time Flight where he had that Fu Manchu thing going on out there. I'm just like, the heck? Why did you even disguise yourself? What was the point of that? You could just showed up. I was just like, there was not even a point.
All about campy disguises.
Yeah, and then we bring in the Eric Roberts Master, and now we've got Missy, who I arguably to this day I think is the the master person at this moment. But I don't think you would have Missy without all the masters that have come before, even Bacon Crispy Master, Jeffrey Beavers, and everybody before that. I do see that there was kind of a campiness because there was kind of that fun, playful thing. Remember when the Master premiered, this was around the time when Batman premiered. So there was this kind of campy feeling going on out there. I remember the third Doctor, I think it was in Inferno, where he takes a stab at Batman when the guy, the companion of that time, it was somebody else who was helping the Doctor at the time, and he sees the console of the TARDIS. It's just a console because he's still exiled on Earth. And the guy walks in and goes, "Is that it?" And then John Pertwee goes, "Well, what'd you expect? Something with Batman at the controls?" And then they were taking little stabs, but this was the fun campiness. Flash forward to Eric Roberts, 1996. And I don't think I appreciated it this time because I was so, growing up with the Master, the way that he was interpreted by all of his predecessors at that time. But if you really look at the Eric Master Roberts, again, I think he's just in line with what came before, but he injected his own personality into it. I think we just couldn't get over, or at least for me, I couldn't get over, it was an American actor playing the Master. And again, it was Anthony Ainley had taken over Nissa's father at that time in The Keeper of Traken. And now we have Gooey Snake taking over for poor little Bruce, who's just trying to help Cheng Li, with a guy who has no identity but John Smith. So for me, I think, no, he is the Master. He will always be the Master. He will always be the side-off Master that we may not appreciate and may not respect at times just because of the way that he was brought into things, but he is there. And I think without him, you would not have what we have going on today. You wouldn't have the John Sims and the Michelle Gomez of the new masters that are coming in here. And I'm going to butcher his name. I apologize. Sasha Dhawan. Sasha Dhawan. I actually think he kind of emulates some of Eric Roberts' Master a little bit.
Yes, I was going to say that.
Because he brought his zaniness in and took it to another level. And that's the way my headcanon works when it comes across the Master. I don't know if this is genuine, what happened, but this is how I see it. So, Eric, it's not a question mark. It's an exclamation mark. Eric Roberts is the Master. And we're happy for you to be out here, brother. Thank you. And hopefully we'll see you on the show one day.
Oh, we'd love that.
Speaking of which, folks, we've come to the end of the show. Any last words from anybody here at the panel? I'm just going to throw this one in here. Oh, Deborah, thank you. She says, Christian, I'm so glad I popped in. Yes. And we're going to be here for another half hour if you want to stick around watching with a friend watch the TV movie with me on TV premiere night. This is Dan Hollyfield. He said that even though he'd been watching with me for years, the movie was the first one he really understood from beginning to end.
Give it credit for that. I'll give it credit for that it was the first one that was more mainstream and what they later turned to in the new series, which they definitely, There's complaints from us old school people sometimes about the new show that they make it a little too kiddie and too straight plot ABC. But this was perfect plotted thing, except killing Sylvester in the first 20 minutes was just such a weird thing. And for American audiences, that threw a lot of them off because they're like, "What? You're killing the main character? I thought he was Doctor Who." And then, no, now he's a new guy, and that it was a weird way to do it.
Well, for all of our friends,
I'm going to go up to a 6.
You're going to go up to a 6. Okay.
I'm going up to a 6.
By the way, I never gave my number. And there's two sets of numbers. If you had asked me back in 1996, I would have said a 5. Today, I would say a 7. So look at us. We actually moved our numbers up as we talked. So for Mumballs here at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, if you're wishing to stay for our after party, which we will continue our discussion, by all means, for those of you listening to the audio, thank you for joining us. If you're listening at iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, wherever, thank you. Everybody, please stay safe. We'll see you next week and become part of the legend. And And those sticking around, thank you and welcome to the after party. Did anybody have any final comments? I know we were kind of rushing in there at the last minute.
I want to really. The thing is as you guys were hashing it out, I could exactly see what you were talking about. I really connected Eric Roberts' master very much to John Sims, and because John Sims is, it's Who Follows, right? So I think I could easily see where John Sims looked at Eric Roberts and said, "Oh, I'm cool with this because I'm okay. That is somebody, that's a character I can totally take over from." And so you're right. Without Eric Roberts having had that characterization, we wouldn't have gone into the new master, the new, characterization of the master whatsoever. Who I actually love. I really like. Sorry if I, but the new age master I really connect to. I always have connected to the master, but the new age one I really connect to a lot more. So I was just listening and really pondering on what you said and thinking about it, and I agree that.
But we had this discussion, and if you notice, David, our numbers went up. Mine was a 7, but when I started off, back in, you would, if you asked me right then, it would have probably been a lower number than 5. It'd probably been 4 or 3. I'm like, what the heck is this?
I might have even said a 1 back then.
Yeah, but if you really
exactly, I could easily say a 6 now, though. Like having talked about it more.
It is also. It's funny when you watch the movie now, you realize like the companion, Grace. You're at the time you're just sitting there going, this is a crap companion. But now you compare her to the other one-shot companions.
Thank you.
And you're like, oh my God, she's perfect. She hits all the notes.
She is the leading depiction of a companion. So if you notice the companion personality, their strength and their ferocity, she actually sets the stage for that.
Yep. And she's like, no, I'm a doctor. You're not the doctor. And I love that bit and all that. And again, it's that whole bits. That's where you look at it now as we've seen, because at that point, all we had was classic. And then here they are trying to make it more action-y. There's the bike chase because we had to have a bike chase. There's a time limit because it's an action movie. We got to have a time limit. And this is stuff. All these things would have been 4-episode arcs back in the day. We would have had 4 episodes before Sylvester got killed, and then we would have 4 episodes in the hospital setting up the new, or at least 2, and then we would have had 3 with the master. Master would have just been behind the scenes little bits. It would have been the shaky hand at the screen, and then it would have been the big finale would have revealed everything. And so this was them condensing all that into 2 hours, and now they do that in a 45-minute block. So
but did you notice our numbers are kind of going up as we're talking? We're actually convincing ourselves that maybe we didn't give Eric a better chance. And I think there is something to be said, because there was a lot. I think there were great advantages to Doctor Who going this route, and there were so many disadvantages going this route, trying to make it more Americanized. Because first of all, I was so happy. The theme song alone, they had an orchestra. It wasn't played on a synthesizer, and not downing any of the classic themes, but they had a full-piece orchestra playing the theme song. The TARDIS is flying. The TARDIS has this bigger interior, and the screen, the scanner is now this when he's pulling up. It's this huge
with all the steampunk stuff. Like Anthony was saying, all the steampunk stuff. I was like, what? This is cool.
I loved it. I loved it when he was just like flipping the dates on the console around. It was just like I was beginning to love that. And plus, here was the budget that Doctor Who needed to tell the stories
bigger
that
stories
we could not get because of of licensing budget. Now we have real action movie budget. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The problem was they didn't. They needed to make it look like they had that budget, but they had split that budget. With the Fox movie of the week the next week, which was Next Men, which was the X-Men backdoor pilot. And then because again, comic books were everything, and and they could get big name comics, but we could get this. Remember, this is pre-Iron Man. I think we keep saying Batman, but it wasn't. The first Batman had premiered in '89. It was Batman. it returns, and then this was the relaunch of Batman was coming. So everybody was, what's going to be the next Joker? And I think it was Jim Carrey as Riddler in this one, and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, and they were all basically the Joker. So, like I said, that was why it was just everybody was just trying to be Jack Nicholson again.
But
and,
you see, look at the comment with Deborah ML. She says, "I'm going to have to dust off my copy and rewatch the movie tonight."
Yes.
Now, all of a sudden, we have this appreciation that we had this discussion about
so
the TV movie.
I'm not saying it's good, but I'm just saying it's better than we thought.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna, before I forget the thought, because I thought it before and it went away. Mark, based on what you said, I was 30 when the movie came out, and interestingly enough, okay, what I'm realizing as we're sitting here again, because I'm sitting here thinking as we're talking, and I'm realizing that when we saw it the first time, we were basing it on something that we'd known forever. So it's that old familiar, right? And this literally took the old familiar with a different budget and blew it out like just sky high. So what we tend to do is we depreciate the things that blow our familiar, right? And whatever we're normalized and what our comfort zone is. And we do that endlessly in fandoms. We've done it with every fandom. I am sorry, but it is what people do until they're ready to appreciate. But I want you to think about it. When we came into the new Who from 2005 up, and we have Russell T Davies, look at the age demographic of the new Whovian, who appreciated what we were given and what was set as precedent in the 1996 film. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I'm obviously rating based on my familiarity and my old Who version, and now I'm thinking and splitting my brain and thinking, oh, but wait a second, you're so right. If we actually didn't have that, darn, would we actually have new Who like we have it today? No, we wouldn't have companions like we have today, and no, we would not have had the Master the way we have today.
And so I come at this from a slightly different angle because I wasn't a Whovian at the time. I had not gotten into Doctor Who in 1996. It was, it just wasn't on my radar. I was too busy with other things. I had almost no TV at that point in time just because of the universe. I didn't come in until I think Matt Smith is when I actually started getting into Doctor Who. So I didn't have that This Has Always Been, but by the time I did go backwards, my This Has Always Been is your Tennant and your Smith and you're here. And I accept the 1960s because and 70s, and I accept this as camp of the era, which I love for the record. And I still do love the movie. I always have, but I don't know that it's. I think it could have been better. I think if that had become a series, his Master would have been absolutely incredible, and I'm so looking forward to more of his big finish.
But that's a great perspective, because it's when I do conventions, I can't come from the perspective of the new generation. When we go to conventions and talk to Whovians that are now Matt Smith, David Tennant, Jodie Whittaker, Peter Capaldi, I can't come from that perspective. I'm coming forward; they're coming backwards, and it's hard to explain, especially now. I can't tell you to go from Jodie Whittaker and go back to 1963. That might be a hard pill to swallow, but you do have to appreciate there was a 1963, and plus there was a 1996. And as I told Yiji when we had him on last week, Yiji, I don't see this as a one-off. This is the bridge between classic and new. And in fact, one of the questions I wanted to ask people, do you consider 96 a classic or a new Who? I consider this kind of the bridge.
The middle. Yeah.
The middle, because
it's the bridge.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Russell T actually pulled some things from 1996 that would be implemented into 2005. Now, it did have its pitfalls, depending upon your headcanon, whether it be the first kiss of a companion, which actually technically wasn't, but the first big on smooch with a companion, the half human part, he's got a human eye, all
3 or 4 different versions of the script. That was the big reveal, was that he was going to be half human, and that was what they were going to pursue in the series that they were backdoor piloting. Was he was going to be pursuing his half human side, so that was going to be the unit trick to keeping him on Earth, so that they wouldn't have to keep doing all the alien planets and stuff. Well, that was one of the production notes. I think the Spielberg version of the script, which was really crazy, was the one that it was key to time, was stuck on Earth. He'd been hiding in a shop, and it was all this weird stuff. And the new Doctor comes and finds Tom Baker, who hasn't regenerated, and it was very Doctor Who Unbound multiverse. And they thought it was too weird, so they didn't do it, and it got canned, and that became the time Spielberg started doing AI, I think. So,
do you think if today we had a Doctor Who movie, not just the specials, 50th, suppose they did the 60th anniversary as a movie, a big budget film, what do you think? How do you think it would do? I mean,
depends on how well it's written, how well it's acted.
There's got to be
budget.
Are we talking about moving forward with the Peter Cushing Doctor? Are we talking about a current Doctor? Because there's so many. The hardest part about the TV version and the implementation, and now Peter Cushing being part of the calculus, the equation now, it's hard to say what that movie is going to reflect. Now, a lot of the showrunners were asked, and they said it would have to be a current Doctor who would move into it. So it would be Jodie if they decided to do this, like the 60th anniversary movie. I don't know. This is hard. Who's writing it? I don't know. We were just making this up.
I think if we brought back and we did something reminiscent of the 50th, but we were able to pay the homages again, we have such a global audience that we would be able to bring in Eric Roberts. We'd be able to bring in Paul McGann. I think that there are possibilities for it.
Just Paul McGann.
We talked to Paul.
Just give him another movie.
We would do it again.
That's it. Just an 8th Doctor movie as part of the 60th.
I don't. It's such a good idea, though.
I don't know if you knew. Heard my discussion, Nisha. It was a while back, and I think Mark, you weren't involved in here, but I said what would happen we were having a discussion about Nisha. Yeah, I think you were here. We were talking about the 14th Doctor, and I said what would happen is whatever happened to Jodie, she would fall to her knees or whatnot, and she would start the regeneration, and then all of a sudden, Mark, it would black out, and the next thing what would happen is you would hear in the darkness like there's some war going on. You can tell that like there's some fighting, there's some shooting, there's some laser cannons going on, and then all of a sudden you hear these two men talking to each other and goes, "Where's the Doctor? Where's the Doctor?" And they're looking at, "I think I found him, sir." And then all of a sudden you see this tarp pulled away, and all of a sudden there's this light on the 8th Doctor laying down. He's all bruised and beaten, and the soldiers, one of them goes, "Oh, that's the wrong Doctor." And one of them grabs the back of the handle of his gun and goes, "We'll take him anyway." Bam! And that's how it ends.
Okay.
And then I said, after that, there would be 3 seasons of the 8th Doctor leading up to what would eventually be the war or something like that, the Outer Rim. But this version of his story is going to run alongside the 14th Doctor. So these two are eventually going to meet up. And the 8th Doctor is going to have a lot of implementation of what's going to happen in the 14th Doctor's first season. So we're going to give Paul McGann his series, and we're going to introduce the new 14th Doctor, and we're going to freak all the Whovians out because we're not going to even say who the 14th Doctor is. We're just going to leave it as such and give Paul McGann his time. That's just me. But that was...
I'm all for, like Peter Capaldi. He regenerates to an older face, and then that leads kind of towards the curator, later down the line. So that could easily happen at some point. So,
Edward, I want to welcome you. Traveling TARDIS, you can go on the Facebook page after the show. If you please check us out. It's facebook.com, the traveling TARDIS. To make the long story short, the Traveling TARDIS started. Wow, it's going to go in its 9th year this year. 9 years ago, I bought myself a TARDIS.
Oh no,
he's in the other room. Sorry.
Oh.
No, I took him. I'm starting to take him places now again. I took him out to Universal, and yeah, the idea was I would take a TARDIS places that normally wouldn't. There were some people who've done that where they would take TARDIS and take a picture, but we actually made it happen. Flash forward 7 to 8 years now, we've done a podcast, what you're seeing right now. And I think we're going up to our 100 and some odd. I've lost count. I've totally lost count. I think we're up to our 130th episode. And we've had a wonderful team of people like you see here, Nisha, Dave, and Mark, and Melanie, and Mackenzie, and just some names I can't think off the top of my head at the moment. But yeah, just go ahead and subscribe to the Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll put the banner up over here, and just check us out. This is really, Deborah likes the idea of something like that happening. So the switcheroo of an 8th Doctor to give him a couple seasons and then a 14th Doctor. But Mark, you were like shaking. You're like, yeah,
no, I wasn't. I'm all with Paul McGann getting more Doctor Who, but like I said, I think I would do it more where he the Doctor regenerates back into an older face, a comfortable face for a reason. Like he had another impossible task, and wants to, can't be the War Doctor. I'll be the Doctor before the War Doctor and do it right this time. And speaking of that, that's I still am sad. My Master got even less screen time than Eric Roberts' Master. And that was, again, Derek Jacobi as the War Master. Now on Big Finish, he got in the show, an episode and a half, and again, gets killed. But he's only really the Master for like 30 seconds. When he realizes who he is before Chen Do shoots him. And it's that moment of evil, that transformation. That was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see him be the Master. And I know him as a powerful Shakespearean actor, so I was all on board. I did not know about the John Sim thing. And so when John Sim took over, I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll see. I'm sad we lost Derek Jacobi, but I know he's up there, so maybe he couldn't pull it off. But then, so then we get John Sim, and I thought John Sim leaned way into the crazy. And I think that actually is why I'm not as big of a John Sim fan as many others are, because many others think that's fantastic. And I was, again, classic Nisha. You reminded me, I wanted more comfortable. I want my Master to be manipulative and brilliant and not so crazy. And I think Missy brought it back down to that level, and that's why so many people love her. But now listening to the Big Finish, they write Jacobi's War Master so perfectly. And and I could listen to that man read a laundry list and just be enthralled. So yeah, that's incredible. And I think now, though, listening to those, and I was like, oh, the War Master, he's my Master now. So I started cosplaying as him and all this, and then suddenly, now this one comes out, and I gotta say, no, spoiler alert, it's great. There you go.
Dan Hollifield says, I've always wanted to write something with the Valeyard as a recurring villain, but bouncing around between 2 different Doctors, using all the actors still living to tell little bits of the story. Dan, I don't want to spoil it. There is something called The Last Adventure with Colin Baker, and they kind of did, but for some odd reason, I don't want to say odd, but the Valeyard seems to fall into being the villain of the 6th Doctor. It doesn't seem to go outside of that. I'm not exactly sure why. And my friend Patty Hawkins put it best. He's an unexploded bomb. And you just don't know what Patty says it best, but and I'm trying to paraphrase what he said. He's an unexploded bomb that nobody can touch. Nobody seems to know what to do with him. So
suddenly your last generation Doctor is evil? Come on. That's ridiculous.
That was the whole purpose. If you remember some of the stuff on the 6th Doctor, the Trial of the Time Lord, one of the original endings, I think they had a couple, was that the 6th Doctor was going to take out the 12th Doctor, and that was going to end the series. That was it. So he just didn't want the future to happen, but I'm glad that they stuck to their guns and did it the way that they did it. But yeah, now that leaves the Valeyard open out there for interpretation. Yes, the Master is devious and works behind the scenes. It sounds subtle. There seems to be like a there seems to be like a meter with the Masters. There's evil and there's campy, and those meters kind of change with each person, and each different person down there.
Yeah, and again, I think
crazy.
Ainsley and Delgado. And Nisha, you got to go?
I have to run. I am so sorry.
That's right. No, that's cool.
Family waiting for me to go do something. Christian, you can tell everybody in the interweb what's going on with Diversely Geek. I trust you guys. Oh, Dave actually can, as a matter of fact.
Dave say it, because if I say it, I'm going to say it. I'm going to mess
Dave's
it up.
got it. He knows what we're doing.
Got it.
And
Dave.
get everybody caught up, give them my sites, and thank you guys so much for having me on tonight. It was a great conversation.
It was always a pleasure.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. And don't forget, Nisha runs Diversely Geek. You can go on the Facebook page. They have a YouTube channel, Diversely Geek. You check it out. Dave, go ahead and give the explanation that Nisha was trying to say. Yeah, she told me in passing, and I feel bad because if I say it, I'm just like,
because I had a whole show with her and one of her co-researchers on my own channel. So, pitch. Go look up the rathole.ca on YouTube, and you can find me talking about all of this for an hour and a half, 2 hours. We talked a long time about mental health and gaming.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
But so Diversely Geek is going to be. I can't put.
Yeah, you don't just leave it.
It's going to be a charity. It's going to be. It is. She's doing so much research. And
it's taking.
I'm sorry,
off.
Nisha. I'm sorry.
It's an organization for working with diversity in geekdom and promoting it,
diversity,
and
mental health, and geekdom.
Yeah, mental health and all that, and it's become this huge force for good in the universe, just like Doctor Who.
So just and I will let me go ahead and pull this up over here. Hang on 1 second.
Bring up those.
Yeah, if you give Nisha a microphone, she will keep going and with such passion and knowledge.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I could have gone on for a whole another hour with the two of them easily.
There you go. I just put it in the chat. So check out Diversely Geek, our friends out there. Let me put in a few of our sponsors while I'm putting it out there. Doctor Who Worlds Apart. There might be a chance that some of you may be playing with us, depending on how good you are. But if you're anything like Nisha and her 7 legendary cards, then hell no, you ain't playing this. And also check out Amazon / Femitech. This is our friends over at Doctor Who Speakers. They're going to be sending me a couple items to play with. I want to check them out. This is going to be awesome.
That'll be awesome. You guys and your CCGs. I'll stick with my RPGs. No, sorry, I was one of those guys that Magic was the end of TSR. So I'm a grump. I'm a game grump. But I'm gonna give out my stuff too, so you guys don't have to screw it up. I
hate you.
Mark Murphy, the author of the Eerie Florida books from History Press, Eerie Florida, Creepy Florida, and Freaky Florida. All available at eerieflorida.com or History Press or wherever you find your fun books. We love you when you order from us because we'll sign them and do fun things with them. But if you order from your local bookstore, that's always nice too. Support your local indie.
There you go.
Which is always good. Thank you so much. As always, a pleasure, gentlemen. And
it took me forever to figure out that Erie spelled with 2 E's in the front. I would spell ERR, and I was just like, I can't find you anywhere.
Yeah, it's all good. And then you guys have fun with the cards, and I will talk to you all next time too.
You got it, man.
It was an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I'm glad you're doing well. Thank you, sir.
Good to be back.
Thank you, Carl. Another good show there. And I think that is.
I think we should skip let's not do the cards. We've got 2 minutes left. We can do.
No, we don't have time for the cards.
Yeah,
the cards are
definitely not.
Another thing altogether. So we'll hold over unpackaging another episode. But if you do have time right now, again, support us over by going to youtube.com, the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. You can find us through keyword search on YouTube or just youtube.com, the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Thank you for getting us over 1,000, all of you. Thank you for those who are going to be joining with us. We appreciate that. We are getting very close to our goal. We want to get to 2,000 and hopefully 2 billion by the end of the year. That would be absolutely cool. Thank you, Carl. Any last words before we go, Dave? Don't forget to check out
rathole.ca/who. That /who has all of my Doctor Who game reviews, links to our YouTube, my appearances here on The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. So please, follow me on YouTube if you got it. I would love to have a portion of what the Traveling TARDIS has.
As far as
Just
what?
saying.
As far as what?
Followers.
Well, hey, we worked hard for those guys.
Yes, you did. And you deserve every single one of them, including myself, because I'm on there several times.
There you go. And don't forget to check out Dave over the rathole.ca. You can also check out the Rat Hole on Facebook. And finally, for all our friends of the Wizard World side, thank you for joining us. Facebook.com, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Subscribe. We are now up to 52,000 subscribers. And as a thank you to our friends of Wizard World, check them out if you're looking if you're on another platform. Facebook.com /Wizard World. Don't forget to subscribe and check out their merch at wizardworldvault.com. We come to the end of the show. Dave, thank you so much for joining me again. Next week, I have no idea, as normally we don't. We are going to be talking about the 25th anniversary of the TV movie, and we're going to have upcoming episodes on that, as well as there is going to be something special with Wizard World. We're waiting for details beforehand. But we want to thank you all for joining us. Again, please stay safe. As a friend of mine says, wash your damn hands, wear your damn masks, and we want to see you next time because we want you to become and continue to become part of the legend. Have a great night there.